Well, I cleaned up my workbench, and part of the reason, or part of the thing that I hope would keep it clean is if I make videos of me doing stuff all the time, then I need to have it at least somewhat clean. Today, I'm working on this tank car that I cobbled together from a bunch of miscellaneous scrap bin parts. I think it's got some trucks that are model die casting. The tank is probably model die casting. Frame looks like it came from an old hopper car. Ladders probably had in the scrap bin. Bits and pieces of plastic for the wood at the ends. And what I'm wanting to do today is I had this brake wheel that was sitting out in the middle of nowhere. So I want to attach a chain to it, because the chain would, the wheel would turn and it would wind up the chain, and then it would set the handbrake. Well, that's the way it would work in real life. It's not gonna do that on the model, just for looks. So just an extra bit of detail that I think would look good. The chain itself, I bought the smallest chain I could find at the craft store. Still grossly oversized and probably a little bit bigger than some of the chain that you could get from a model supply place. But this is a jewelry chain, and it's what I have. I bought a whole bunch of it, so I'm going to use, my hope is that I could drill a hole and pull the chain all the way through and just let it dangle and maybe super glue it in place. But when I look at the frame, it looks like I'd be hitting, if I went straight down, I'd be hitting the back of the coupler box. So the reality is I'm probably just going to be drilling through this plastic and having to glue it, cut the chain and glue it into the plastic. I actually might have to wind the chain up a little bit to get it taut, which that would look cool. I'm told these are called Fox trucks. I got them in some kind of a kit. I'm told they are an old style of truck that was pretty much gone by early 1900s, but Civil War era and 1880s stuff, these are a lot more common. They're riveted steel, or the prototype is riveted steel. But this is going to be a work car, so there's no prototype. This is just junk that I put together, something to look cool. Just a work car, probably water service for a work train or something like that. So let's see if I can drill this hole. This is just a little pin vise, just a little drill bit. I don't know what size it is. I just look for one that would probably be about right. And it fits in the little jaws of the pin vise there, and I tighten it down. And let's see if I want it to be straight. I want the chain to go down straight. I don't want it at an angle. Just so it looks like it's not going to hit quite where the wood part is. It's going to be over here a little bit. I'm using a cheap Amazon tripod for a cell phone that my wife bought when she was on vacation, so she could take selfies with the kids. Not exactly the best setup. It did the trick at one time. Did the trick for her. There we go. Seems like it's a hole that would work. I need to cut that chain off and stick it down in the hole. And I blackened the chain using this stuff. This Perma Blue I got at Walmart. It's a gun bluing compound. You can still see a lot of the brass color through. I don't like that, so I'm probably going to paint it when I'm done. My hope is it would just be a chemical blackening agent. I bought it, and then when I read the directions, it says that it only works on steel or ferrous metals and does not work on aluminum or non-ferrous metals. So I still try it, get mixed results. Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks cool. It kind of looks like aged aged brass or aged copper. So if I was making something that I wanted to kind of have that aged copper look, it'd probably work out quite well. I think it's a brass chain. I don't know. I'm assuming. I'm assuming that's what it's made from. But it's something I picked up at Michael's or Joann's or someplace before they went out of business. I think this is, it's hard to see. I'm gonna put on my other glasses. These are just the highest magnification cheaters that I could buy at the dollar store or Walmart or someplace. A couple of bucks. I put them on. It gives me a lot of magnification. You can see what I'm doing. I do have also one of those stationary magnifying lights that I like to use, but sometimes this gives me like more of a field of vision. And I'll save that little piece of chain. I use it as a detail someplace else. I got a pair of tweezers, and I organized my workbench, and check it out. They're right there. They're right where I put them. There's some gunk on the end. Tweezers have been with me a long time. And they used to be really, really great. But not so much anymore. Well, it fits in the hole. Fits in the hole just fine. So I'm going to use just super glue gel. I got it at Harbor Freight. You can spend a wide range of money on super glue. You can get expensive bottles at the hobby store. Ones that say they're better than others. Gorilla super glue at the hardware store. Loctite brand, I'm sure. But for years I've just been buying these cheap little tubes at the hardware store. And the reason I do it is because, one, it seems to work just fine for me. But two, every time I buy an expensive bottle, I use it for one project, and by the time I get it out again, it's all dried. The tip is all screwed up, and then I've wasted a whole big bottle of, $10 glue. So I just buy these things. I get like 3 of them for, I don't know, a couple of bucks, Harbor Freight. And when a tip dries up, I just throw it out, open a new one. So I keep a supply. I think you can buy one a pack of 10 or something like that. So I got this in here and I glued it. The chain's a little bit loose. So I think what I want to do is I have the last link of this thing. It seems to be glued in there tight. The last link is actually stuck in. I stuck it through the shaft. Let's see what I got. That might be able to turn that. Right, because the problem is I'm turning I want to turn the shaft to kind of maybe make the chain a little taut. So I'm breaking that little piece off there. Yeah, I broke it off. The little thing that rides in. I need a touch of glue to put that back on and just let it dry, I guess. I don't know what's going on here. Yep. Oh, that stinks. I don't even remember. I put this thing together so long ago. I don't even remember what I put it all together with. Well, I'm going to use the plastic glue. I'll try to use the plastic glue. Is it gone? Oh, dare I say that bottle's empty. What do I got here? They're all empty. What the hell happened? Why do I have empty bottles? This one's got a little bit in it. that's okay. It kind of like soaks in there. Wicks, I guess you would call it. I'm joining plastic to plastic. Maybe, you know what, maybe I'll add a little bit of slack on there. But I'm joining plastic to plastic, so I like to use plastic model cement. I know a lot of people like to put their models together entirely with super glue. I don't particularly like to do that because my experience has been that super glue, after a few years, it kind of becomes brittle, and then stuff falls off. And I don't want stuff to fall off, so I use the plastic glue, plastic cement when I can. And if you do it right, it can form a really strong joint that won't come apart. So I don't like the looks. That chain now is not good. I don't like the color. So I am just going to. This is what I use mostly craft paints. You get them at Walmart, really cheap. I know, I mean, a lot of the hobby manufacturers, the hobby paints are no longer being manufactured, and there's a few new brands like Vallejo on the market. I have used some of those, and I like them, but this is what is easily available for me, and so when I need a new color, I just go down, and they've got quite an assortment. I pick up one that looks good, and then I just use it like I would use model paint. And sometimes I gotta thin it down a little bit with water, and you gotta be careful. Some of them, a lot of people like to thin with alcohol. Some of these craft paints, you thin them with alcohol, and they actually kind of coagulate a little bit. So you gotta be careful. But this is pretty much all I use anymore, these craft paints. I mean, if there was a hobby shop around, I would go to a hobby shop and buy the hobby paints, but there aren't no hobby shops to go and pick up supplies anymore, and I guess you can Amazon stuff. I don't particularly like to order stuff online. It's just not as fun. You know, people say, oh, you can order whatever you want. You don't even put pants on, put shoes on. And yeah, that's cool, but you know, there's something to be said about actually getting out into the world and talking to somebody. Especially a hobby shop. You browse the shelves and like, oh, that looks cool, and you wind up buying things you wouldn't normally buy. And then when you get onto the website, whether it's Amazon or one of the online retailers, you start looking for what you need, and you put stuff in the search bar, and then their search doesn't work, and you say like, oh, I know exactly what I need, but I can't find it. Or if you want to just browse, you know, sometimes it's not the best just for browsing. You just kind of want to look. So this is the leftover piece of chain. I'm going to do something with it. I think I'm going to do something with it here. So I'm going to paint it. Again, the chemical blackening was a disappointment. I'm told they do have a blackening specifically for brass. I think it's called Brass Black. I think it's the same manufacturer. Permablue, Birchwood. Birchwood is the manufacturer of that. And they don't sell it at, you know, Walmart or, you know, a sporting goods store. This I got at the sporting goods store. The other stuff, probably going to buy some. I'll have to order it. But I'm just going to paint the chain. The problem with painting a chain is it works good if you got it where you want it and you paint it. But to just paint a chain and then place it, sometimes you glue the links together with the paint. I suppose I could tape it down and shoot it with a rattle can or an airbrush. That would be a little bit more even, but... And you know what? The one thing about this paint is it seems like it's really thick. So you can thin it down with water, but one of the things I've noticed is it dries a lot thinner. It dries a lot thinner than you would think. So I started using it mainly to paint figures, and you know, structures and buildings and stuff. And just it's only recently that I've been starting to put it on my rolling stock, and I've painted whole locomotives with it, and they've come out quite well. Just you kind of got to learn how to do it. Let's see, the thing is, I'm going to watch this video later, and I'm going to find that everything is out of view, and I'm doing all kinds of stuff, and you can't see what I'm doing because this tripod isn't the best setup for it, or maybe not use an iPhone, but it is what I've got. So I've got this piece of chain painted. I got a piece of chain hanging. You can see where I had to glue that thing back on. It's a little shiny, so I'm going to have to kind of go in there and weather it. Make sure it's glued on in the right place. I'll go through and I'll weather it. Don't even know that it broke off. I don't even know how. I think those things are just glued on to begin with and aren't part of the tank casting. I mean, the ones that hold the handrail on are part of the tank casting, but for the brake wheel, I think those are separate parts and you gotta glue them on. Probably had a little pin that fit into a hole. I don't know that for a fact. Again, I did this a long time ago. And then another one I did, this one I just put a brake wheel on it. I did some paint work on it as I just had it was sort of oxide red for the longest time, and I decided, oh, I'll fix it up and make a cool looking little work train. So it's got the same trucks. I don't know what kit they came with. Maybe with the tank car kit. I have no idea. The sides, again, the deck, I think I came from another flat car, probably a Tyco or something. I ripped the deck off. The sides, who knows? Probably some other freight car that I kit bashed. Had those left over. These are actually 3D printed. They sort of, I only wanted a few of them, and I got a whole sheet of them for a couple of bucks, and so I've just been kind of figuring out cool places to put them. So brake wheel, and that was Tai Chi, I guess, and it that was from my parts bin. So I've been weathering this one up. The goal is to make some kind of a cool looking work train. Kind of want to figure out what I want to letter them for. I was thinking I was going to do El Paso Southwestern because I have some decals, and it's sort of an old time railroad that no longer exists. I think these would look kind of cool, lettered up for that. I've lettered some locomotives and some box cars and caboose. So I've got some leftover decals. Be a really easy thing for me to do. So that's my goal, is to letter these up. I think I'm going to have to just stop and let the glue dry for a while. I'm liking the way these are coming out. So I need to add more details. I'm going to add some barrels. So my barrels, I found these little wood plugs at the hardware store. So what I've been doing, and these are terrible ones. I gotta say, you sand the ends to where they're flat, to where you don't have a gap, and that's not hard to do. Then I glue them back to back like this, paint them up, take a little strip of black paper and glue little bands at it, and it makes a kind of neat little barrel. And yeah, I know you can go and find somebody who makes little model barrels, and they don't cost very much, but sometimes you just don't want to wait for something to come in the mail to finish up a project. So I think I'll stop this one and take a look and see how it turned out. Turned out well, then, maybe I'll post it, edit it, do whatever. If it didn't come out well, I might figure out a way to mount the camera different, try different things. But again, this is the whole point of this is I figure if I'm making videos, then I gotta keep my workbench clean, and it forces me to use the workbench instead of the kitchen table or wherever. But I mean, the weather here in Phoenix is starting to turn cool, so sitting out in the workshop in the evening is quite pleasant. So with that, I will say goodbye.